Fly selection might be the most overwhelming part of fly fishing. You walk into a fly shop, scroll online, there are thousands of patterns. You're standing there thinking, how many of these do I actually need to catch a trout? In today's video, I'm going to show you the exact nymphs that live in my box all year long. And more importantly, how I think about fly selection so you can build your own confidence box and keep your flies where it matters most, in the strike zone. Welcome to Broken Water Outfitters. I'm Ryan. Let's get into it. As anglers, our fly selection should be built around our tactics and the waters we fish. I'm based in central Pennsylvania. We've got everything from tiny wild trout streams to mid-sized rivers. Trout are notorious for feeding primarily below the surface. That's why the foundation of my whole system is nymphing. Most days, that looks like tight line or mono rig setups when I want maximum contact and control, or indicators and bobbers when I want longer drifts or I'm dealing with higher flows and deeper runs. It's all about reducing and controlling the variables. Before we even talk about patterns, I want to say this clearly because it's the most important piece of the puzzle. The most important part of successful nymphing is getting your fly into the strike zone and keeping it there. You can have the perfect pattern, but if it's riding 18 inches above the fish all day, you're basically just practice casting. For nymphing, that strike zone is usually right down near the bottom in that low, slow cushion where trout sit and watch food roll by. Every fly you're going to see in this video is tied, weighted, and chosen with that one idea in mind. Get down, stay down, and look like food. Once you understand the strike zone, the next piece is how you show your fly to the fish. My whole fly selection philosophy can be boiled down to this. I value presentation over pattern. Depth, drift, speed, and angle have more influence on whether a fish eats your fly than whether it has the right number of tails or legs. They really don't care that your fly has 3 tails or 2, or whether the dubbing is the exact right shade of olive. When I'm matching the hatch with nymphs, I'm really thinking about 3 things: size, shape, profile. Am I in the right ballpark? Not too big or too small. Does the fly read like mayfly, caddis, stonefly, a scud, or a general little bug? Does the silhouette or thickness look believable? Color absolutely matters, but I don't chase perfect color matches. I stick to a selection of general colors. Bugs and bait fish take on a lot of color from the stream bed and the environment. If you fish multiple creeks and rivers, that's always changing. I lean on simple, durable guide fly style patterns that suggest life rather than copying every little detail. If it gets into the strike zone and it looks like something alive, I'm happy. Let me show you what that looks like in my nymph box. This is my primary nymph box. You'll see mayfly style nymphs, stoneflies, caddis larva, and a few oddballs sprinkled in. But there are 3 things that every pattern in this box has in common. It's simple enough that I can tie a bunch of them. It's durable enough to survive contact with rocks and trout mouths. And it can be weighted or rigged to live where it counts, in the strike zone. Let's walk through the core patterns that have a confidence fly status for me. First up is my Hare's Ear 1, or HE1 for short. This fly has quickly become my favorite and probably my #1 confidence nymph. But I'm not really sure what's going on yet. This is often the first one I tie on. The idea for this came from tying a lot of streamers and noticing one big theme: dark top, light belly. If you look at minnows, sculpin, or even a lot of invertebrates, most of them follow that dark back, light belly pattern. It's nature's camouflage. So I took that concept and built a Hare's Ear style nymph around it. The top of the fly is darker, created with a material called bugback. The belly is lighter, using different shades of Hare's Ear dubbing. I use lively legs to round out the profile and add movement, and a solid flat wire rib to increase durability. This fly gets eaten a lot. In my box, I carry HE1s in sizes 10 through 18 in about 5 different color combinations. That lets me cover darker tannin-stained water, bright limestone, and everything in between, but just adjusting the size and shade. Functionally, it's a great general mayfly or attractor hybrid, and it can be tied heavy enough to help drive a 2-fly rig down into the strike zone and keep it there. The next pattern is my Workhorse Pheasant Tail, and the name is on purpose. This is my go-to anchor fly, especially when I'm tight lining or running a mono rig. It came out of a combination of 2 materials that I think are kind of just magic: pheasant tail fibers and CDC. Pheasant tail has microbarbs that give the body a natural texture and movement. CDC traps a bit of air and adds that soft, alive look in the water. I fish this pattern primarily in olive and natural pheasant tail, mostly in sizes 12, 14, and 16. I match the color of the CDC to the body of the pheasant tail. In 2-fly rigs is often the heavier fly that does the heavy lifting, getting my whole system down into the strike zone. The dropper above it might be lighter and a little more subtle, but this is the one that is the workhorse. It gets down, stays down, and it just looks like a mayfly nymph worth eating. The waters I fish tend to have really healthy populations of brown and golden stoneflies, so I always want a pattern that fits that chunky stonefly roll. That's where the lively legs double trouble comes in. buddy introduced me to this pattern a few years ago. I tied up a few of them, took them out, and started catching fish on them immediately. Didn't take long before I started tweaking the pattern. First thing I did was tie it inverted on a jig hook. So much of my nymphing is focused on keeping the fly riding in the strike zone close to the bottom, while keeping the hook point up and away from rocks, wood, and other hazards on the stream bottom. Double trouble shines when I'm fishing faster, broken water, when I want a bigger profile to match stoneflies or other big nymphs, or when I need that extra weight and bulk to keep the rig pinned down where the fish are actually holding. After seeing how effective lively legs were on a few patterns, I knew I had to try them on a pheasant tail nymph. Pheasant tails are one of the most proven mayfly patterns ever created. When you add lively legs, you get a little more profile, a little more movement, and an overall buggier look. I mostly carry this fly in natural or muskrat gray from sizes 12 down to 18. Every once in a while, you'll find a brighter orange or olive version tucked in the box for when I need a louder option. For me, this is a middle child pattern. It sits between the slimmer Workhorse Pheasant Tail and the big double trouble stonefly. It still gets down into that low cushion, but it gives the fish something with a natural profile to look at. Next up is my Caddis Larva pattern. If your streams have caddis, and they probably do, you need some kind of Caddis Larva in your box. I like to keep it simple, streamlined, and durable. This pattern is a great example of perfection through simplicity. It's just a slim, weighted, little wormy looking thing that looks like food. Trout see Caddis Larva all the time, and I'm pretty sure a few fish each year mistake this for a midge larva. Because it's simple and tough, I don't mind donating a few to log jams and rock piles. That makes it a lot easier for me to commit to fishing in contact with the bottom right where I want to be. The last pattern in this core lineup is the sexy waltzworm, the flashier cousin of the original waltz. I'm not totally sure why, but I tend to have more success with this version, especially on wild trout. It's basically a classic waltzworm with a shiny rib and a bright orange color hotspot. Doesn't perfectly match any one bug, but it lives in that space where it could be a scud, a crest bug, a case caddis, or just some generic little critter in the drift. I carry it in sizes 14, 16, and 18, and I tie it durable and weighted so it can be bounced along near the bottom without falling apart. When I know there are fish around but nothing is obviously happening, Sexy Waltz is one of those confidence flies that I just trust. So this is my core lineup of confidence nymphs. The HE1, that dark back light belly, Hare's ear hybrid, the Workhorse Pheasant Tail, my reliable anchor fly. The Lively Legs Double Trouble, my stonefly or big nymph and bottom probe. The Lively Legs Pheasant Tail, a buggier animated mayfly pattern. The Caddis Larva, a simple, durable caddis and midge impersonator. And the Sexy Waltzworm, a wild trout confidence bug with a hotspot. But remember, this isn't about you copying my box fly for fly. The big ideas are, get your fly into the strike zone, keep it there for as much of the drift as possible, and focus on presentation over pattern. Build your own confidence box around the waters you fish, the species you're targeting, and the seasons you're on the water. Start with a handful of simple, durable patterns, fish them hard, pay attention to what actually catches fish. Over time, a few of those flies will earn their way into your permanent residence in your fly box. If you want to see how I actually fish these nymphs, tight line setups, mono rigs, indicators, check out the other videos on our channel. Drop a comment and let me know what your #1 confidence nymph is, and what kind of waters you fish it in. If this helps streamline fly selection and the whole strike zone idea for you, hit the like, subscribe to Broken Water Outfitters, and share it with a friend who's overwhelmed by fly bins. Thanks for hanging out in the studio with me today. I'll see you on the next one, but in the meantime, get out there, get after it, and hunt the water.